Percy with an early run, he's onside this time! It's 1-1! Schürrle, it's 7! It's Mario Götze! What a goal! What a goal to win a World Cup!
Hello there once again, this is the Beermat World Cup podcast. A quick roundup of every day's goings on in the 2018 Russia World Cup, and we had a big one today. Big result, but we'll get to that later. We've got two games to get to first. Very first result of the day, Denmark won, Australia won. VAR at the centre of things once again. And what did look like initially it was going to be an absolute walkover for the Danes. Penalty to Australia, inexplicably. Well, when I say inexplicably, I mean his actual hand movements, not necessarily the penalty itself. Jedinak puts it away again. And I do wonder if there's ever been a team that's gone through 3 group stage games getting a penalty in every game, and Australia are 1 spot kick away from that particular trivial feat. The one thing I was going to say about this is that a lot's been made about the VAR and the technology with the assistant referees, the video assistant referees, should I say, and the fact that it might only ever favour the big teams because, realistically speaking, you've got more opportunities. If you're on the attack more often, there's going to be more potential reviews. And I get that, I do actually get that, but I think the same could be said for penalties full stop. If you're attacking more, you will, in theory, get more penalties. Australia have actually managed to keep themselves in this now. It doesn't look like it's the biggest chance in the world, and based off what we've seen so far, it might be one game too far, but they've put up decent-ish performances in both games so far, and at the end of the day, like, all you need is a chance to get through, and we've seen if the opportunity is there to get through, then you can maybe take it in a one-off game and then see what happens from there. But we'll see what happens with Australia taking on Peru in that last game. And again, Peru eliminated by losing to France by a single Mbappe goal to 0. A lot of criticism coming from the ITV commentary team in terms of how Peru approached the game. But to be honest with you, I didn't see a lot from either side, and I think this is what happens when you get a 1-0, basically not even a 1-0, just a small victory. It's those fine margins, and what would have been credited as a really good battling performance at 0-0 gets sort of washed away and torn to shreds because of the fact that France did get that goal, and Peru obviously can only look back now and go what might have been, both in terms of this game against France and also as well against Denmark, where they had the chance to score, didn't, and it came back to haunt them. I think it's hard done by Peru, who have actually, especially the fans, they were like really in force and en masse yesterday, so they will be disappointed. It's a shame really from having to wait so long for a World Cup and then this is your sort of lot. But it's one of those things where, because the South American group can be so hard to get through, you do wonder if like that might be it for a while for them, or whether they're going to use this and push on, and maybe we'll see them again sometime. I don't know the players that in-depthly, and obviously Farfan now, who was young once upon a time, the fact that he's really old now makes me feel really old now. But yeah, we'll see with Peru, and obviously if they can do anything in the last game, maybe their legacy might simply be costing Australia to get through, and it'll be an interesting tie, certainly, there's no doubt about that. On to the last game of the day then, and where a lot of the headlines are going. Croatia 3, Argentina 0. Argentina's World Cup is in tatters, but for the moment, and for the most part, I'm going to go with the story which very few people are going with, which is, my word, Croatia are actually turning up in this tournament, and they will, after this result, I got a funny feeling they did this in the Euros as well, where they got through and then looked really good and then didn't turn up at all in the game against Portugal. So in that regard, I'm trying to keep my cards and my little sort of, oh yeah, this is the dark horse that we've all been waiting for, close to my chest. But this is definitely the dark horse we've all been waiting for, and they're definitely going to do it. And my word, what? Nothing can be said about absolute world superstar players that hasn't already been said. But the problem is that sometimes you miss certain things, like your Ronaldos, your Messis, your Ibras, Salah, all of them that have been heralded over the years. But very little about your midfield men, and what Croatia have, especially Luka Modric, is a player who regularly ticks over metronome-like really, really good performances and goes under the radar. And if this is his sort of, oh yeah, we really know this guy's good kind of tournament, then I'm all for it. I know I mentioned him when I was talking about big players before, but no sort of roundup of this could go anywhere without talking about Lionel Messi. And really, it's funny how it's gone full circle since 2016, when Argentina was so close to winning a Copa America, didn't, and Portugal went on and won the Euros. And it feels like since then, there was a sort of thing about, and I'm very big on this idea that I don't think, when you compare this era of football to previous ones, I'm talking well back, like the Pele and Maradona and all that, and I know for a fact that I'm doing the old squads a disservice, but I didn't see them that much so because I wasn't born. But I don't think you can have this one player in a squad that does that. But even my predisposition to that is being challenged because of what Ronaldo is actually doing with Portugal right now. That's why this sort of hurts doubly, and it's funny because back then you would have said that it's Ronaldo and nobody else in the Portugal squad, and Messi's got like at least some help around him. But my word, now you look at that Argentina squad, especially the team that they put out tonight, what really does he have around him? Before Aguero's goal against Iceland on Saturday, I think it was like they'd scored one in this calendar year that wasn't Messi. I think they only won one qualifying game that he didn't take part in as well. And basically all the numbers you read that when he's not there, it's ridiculous. And this idea, by the way, that he doesn't perform internationally, they were in a game they needed to win to qualify for this World Cup, 1-0 down at altitude, and Messi puts in a hat-trick performance. Like, that's the definition of performing at international level, because they wouldn't be here without him. And he's already retired from international football once. You kind of wonder whether it should have stuck, actually, because there's very rarely do you get footballers and footballing stories that go out on a high. There usually is some sort of twist right at the end where it's like, yeah, this player went on a bit too long, or this player just outstayed his welcome and the quality wasn't there. And certainly at international level, I don't know about domestically, but certainly at international level, you struggle to think if he's ever going to find that perfect way to end it, because, and realistically, like Argentina have, before this tournament, they hadn't lost in normal time. So as much as everyone's pointing the finger and going, this is terrible, this is the worst thing ever, but like, I mean, yes, for Argentina it is, and they've still got a chance of going through, but my word, what a turnaround this would be. I find it really hard to believe that they would be able to go that far following this, and the tactics look ridiculous. The squad now looks even thinner than you thought in the first place. No one really backed them. It was just that Messi factor, but it looks even worse now. And all of a sudden, the Iceland-Nigeria game takes on a whole completely new level, because there's an actual sort of place for grabs where they wouldn't have thought there was. The other quick thing that I'm just going back to the Messi-Ronaldo thing that I just want to get off my chest before we wrap this up. The idea that we have to reevaluate who the best player in the world ever is after every 90 minutes is a little tiresome. I think we take them on their legacies when their careers are finished, as opposed to like running some sort of live league table. It's frustrating, and it does take away from the game so much. And you could see different players and different personalities like handle it well and better than others. You could see with Ronaldo that he's thoroughly enjoying this now, and he's enjoying what's going on, whereas everybody loves to be a body language expert. What was sort of Messi's reaction at the anthems, and it's just not him, and that doesn't make him worse, because there's 10 other lads there that are supposed to help you out, and it's not really Messi's fault. Messi can't be called not the best player in the world because Willy Caballero can't kick a ball. All I'm going to say is, let's just watch good players do good things, and then shelve those debates for when they're not doing good things anymore and they're retired, you know? A long way of saying a very short thing, which is, let's just enjoy the football. And I think that goes for the rest of the World Cup. There's been a slight murmurs about how we still haven't had a 0-0 yet, but people are starting to get on this as like, oh, it's not great, but I'm telling you, I'm still loving it. We are not even close to getting bored of this yet. Day 8 done, and we'll keep it going tomorrow.